Okay, here we go with our altitude to hypotenuse lab. Make sure you put your name on this document, and let's say what period you're in, first period, and let's get to it. We're going to take this, the infamous altitude to hypotenuse, and we're going to rearrange it, and we're going to see which geometric means we can see from it, and which similar triangles. Lots of theorems here. So the first thing we're going to do, let's see, take the label tool. I've got these set for you. This is going to be side B. This is going to be, well, hang on. This is going to be side A, opposite A. This will be the hypotenuse, opposite C. I'm going to call this H, and that's going to be the height. That's the altitude to the hypotenuse. And I'm going to call this piece X and Y respectively. That's the two pieces that the hypotenuse is divided into. So, to help us see these, properties, we're going to take this figure and rearrange it. A little origami here. First thing I'm going to do is, forgot to tell you, I'm going to take this little tool here, the blue angle. Let's put a blue angle in at B. I'm going to say that blue angle, call that the blue angle. I'm going to call this one the red angle. And what I know about these two angles are complementary, because after all, they're the two acute angles of a right triangle. Now, this is also a right triangle, as is this. So I could fill in these angles. This must also be a blue angle. In other words, it's congruent to the one over here at B. And this angle over here must be the red angle. I really only have two different acute angles in this diagram, because after all, the triangles are similar. So now, next thing we're going to do, I want you to double click on this, your axis of reflection. I want you to select just the interior and just these 2 points and maybe the point D. And what the heck, you can select B if you want, but you're reflecting over this axis. Transform menu, and you're going to reflect. Now, I want to reposition this so it's oriented the same way. I'm going to have to rotate by the red angle. Here we go. Double click on Charlie. See, that's going to mark it as a center of rotation. See, keep all this stuff highlighted. That's still selected. Click on B, C, D. In that order, that marks the red angle. Transform, and mark angle. There you go. I already have my object selected. Transform, rotate by marked angle. Very nice. Oh, I missed a piece. I forgot to rotate this point. No problem. Grab it, transform, rotate by marked angle. Very nice. Now, if I were to click on this, it's going to come up A prime. And what does that come up? D, double prime. I'll just make that a D prime. Try to be consistent with that prime notation. I'm now going to hide this. Don't delete it. Hide it. Command H for hide. And I could fill in the rest of everything here. I could say that this is going to be B. I'll make the colors consistent. Get my text palette over here. And I'm going to call that B. Let's get rid of that prime, because I'm talking about the length of a segment here. And this segment, going with the label tool, will also be X. And this segment will also be H. Very nice. If you want, you can mark the angles as appropriate. The blue angle in this corner. Remember, click on the vertex, one side, counterclockwise to the other side. The red angle goes up here. 1, 2, 3. I can see the similarity in my figures now. Okay, next thing, let's just process this other triangle, the blue one. I'm going to double click here. And I'm going to take this figure and I'm going to transform, reflect it. Now I'm going to rotate it by this blue angle up here. Okay, here we go. Mark it A, C, D. Transform, mark angle. Now this is already my center of rotation. Don't need to mark it again. Transform, rotate by marked angle. What do you know? I forgot to do it again. Let me just rotate that point. Transform, rotate by marked angle. If I highlight these points, well, that'll be D double prime. Oh, I was putting those in black, but let's be consistent here. And this would be B prime. And now I'm going to take this triangle, Command H, let's hide it. And now, let's just click on these segments and see what they come up. H, we'll call that H. Then we'll click on this one, which is A. And this one is Y. We're almost done. We have the figure all laid out now. So now, all this really represents three theorems, 7, 5, 7, 6, 7, 7. First one, 7, 5. Which triangles are similar? A, B, C. This triangle is similar to, and look at the order, red angle, blue angle, right angle. So A, B, C, similar to A, C, D. Let's put that in there. Cap box, A, C, D. On this triangle, similar to C, B, D. So there you go. C, B, D. Well, that's one theorem down. 2 to go. Now, that would be 7, 6. H is the geometric mean. Now let's look at it over here. X is to H as H is to Y, using these two similar triangles right here. Of course, if we fold them all up, it looks like this. X is to H as H is to Y. There you go. Got it laid in there for you. X, whoops, that should be a wee x, a small x. There is to H as H is to Y. Very good. Now, our last two. We have two more geometric means. That's the next theorem, 7, 7, I believe, which says that each of the legs, A and B, are geometric means. So, let's look at this triangle and the overall triangle. X is to B as B is to C. X is to B as B is to C. Looking at it on one figure, X is to B as B is to C. Nice. Finally, we'll use this triangle and the overall triangle. Y is to A as A is to C. Take your label tool. Y is to A as A is to C. And we're done. Looking at it one more time. Well, let's look at it from here. Y is to A as A is to C. One last thing I had my students do. If you want to you got the selector, just sweep and select very carefully. Hold down the shift and select the rest of this. And here you go. You can edit, action button, hide show, and you maybe just put a little button on there so you could turn them on and off. So when you need to see it, you can see those triangles oriented differently, and then you can look back at the original figure. So there you go. 1 Sketchpad lab, 3 theorems.